So I want to start with a story that's, hold on, let me get to the first slide here. There we go. So I want to start with a story that's made me think a lot in the last year or 18 months. I have 2 children. Actually, I have 4 children, which is way too many. But the 2 I want to talk about are 5 years old, Max and Anna. They're twins. Please don't ask me if they're identical twins. I get asked that all the time. But they're Max and Anna. They're 5. And for most of their lives and all my kids' lives, I've been struck with how similar their experience is growing up to what mine was 40 years ago, right? We get up every morning. It's a complete cluster getting them out to school. I remember my mom's head exploding 3 times a week trying to get all the crap into the car, get them to school on time. They go to school and they learn very similarly to how we learned 40 years ago. In fact, some of the ways they're learning to read, they're using the identical books that I remember using a long time ago. They come home, they do a little homework, they play outside. Then there's the second cluster of the day when we try and get them inside for dinner. Everyone's screaming and crying. Then they get to watch maybe a little bit TV. When they're at our house, it's super age appropriate. When it's at grandparents', the wheels are off. This is an aside, a crazy story. Hopefully they don't, is this live on the internet? I hope they never watch this. But my in-laws let them watch Jaws at age 5, like 3 weeks ago. I don't even know how to deal with that. But so they get a little bit of age-appropriate TV, and then it's the third big battle of the day, getting them to bed. So that hasn't changed in 40 years in any kind of meaningful way. And then about 18 months ago, something big happened in our house that really changed how they relate to technology in a giant way. And so now they get up in the morning, first thing, walk downstairs, and Max gets to the Alexa or gets to Siri and immediately starts asking, did the Orioles win last night? This year, the answer is usually no. But did the O's win last night? Did the Virginia Cavaliers win last night? He starts rattling off, and then he gets asked who scored how many points. And by the time I see him, he's got a whole story ready to go of what happened in the sports world last night. Then Anna gets control. She starts playing music. And then, that is how they get all their information. They ask what the weather is going to be, and all of a sudden, they've got information that we never had at that age. And what's happened recently is really interesting, and I want to play a little video for you. This is Max.
Would Mom let us watch the Virginia game tonight?
That's screaming in the background, yes.
Say yes.
So what's amazing about that is he's now asking this device, and by the way, if Siri says yes and then Mom says no, there's all hell to pay. So Mom is really down on all this stuff right now. But what's really interesting is their relationship with technology through voice is fundamentally different than anything we've seen. I don't have to show you these stats, you know them, but 46% of Americans use voice assistants if you include the voice assistants on your device. In the last 3 months, we've had a 50% increase in smart speakers in 3 months. In 3 months. It is going to be the fastest wave of technology adoption in history. The previous title holder was smartphones. It took about 7 years to get to 50% penetration of US households. This is going to take about 4 years. We get asked all the time at WillowTree, what is next after mobile? What is the next big wave? And it's staring us right in the face right now. It is voice, and it's voice in a big, giant way. So we want to take a little bit of time to talk about why that is. So when we type, typically, most English-speaking typists at about 40 words a minute, even slower, slower on a mobile device, but we speak at 130, right? So you can transmit to a device at about 3 times the speed. Conversely, when you're listening, now you can speed things up a little bit, it gets a little awkward, you're listening about at that 130, but you can read it to 50, and that's words. Now, when you get to graphics, you can ingest information much more quickly. So what's going on here is for the last 40, 50 years, our interface with computers has been typing and reading. So 40 in to 50 back, which is at a certain pace. Now, we have these single-channel voice devices, which operate at 130 in, 130 out. That's why we all have this temptation to start something talking to a device, whether it's Siri or Alexa, and then we feel ultimately pretty unfulfilled when we start having to listen to a response, because it just takes too long. So the place this is all naturally going to go is that we're going to speak, and the response is going to be graphical. And we know that whenever things are faster and easier, all consumers, all users are going to migrate there quite quickly. And we see that today already. If you look at voice transcription, that's it, right? Who uses voice transcription this use? I don't listen to voicemails anymore. I see them on my phone. This is Apple's view of this. Usually it's full of dots and a bunch of other crap. But mostly you can figure out what's going on. And if you can figure out what's going on and you don't need to listen for tone, it's not like a big business negotiation, you'll just read what's going on the phone. And that is the first example of transmitting via voice, receiving text. And the applications are amazing. So technicians in the field. We've done a bunch of work with enterprises supporting technicians in the field. On average, it takes about 10 minutes when a technician in the field knows what part they need to order the part. They got to look up a part number. They got to call someone, et cetera. We're going to get that down to about 10 or 20 seconds because that guy right there should be able to say, I need a new fan blower, and that's it, because we should know where they are, what model it is, and everything else should just happen. And that's going to happen. You think about what that does to productivity and what that does to training. We're already using this. If you're watching Billions, whatever, season 3, episode 3, you don't want to navigate using that. You want to talk to your device. And for everyone who has this in their house, you know clear as day this has changed the way that you interface with your TV. Now you've binge-watched Billions, the sun's coming up, you're late for the Landmark conference. How do you get those 2 hours of sleep? You don't want to go figuring out in a hotel how to turn off all the lights, especially if you're in a W, you can't ever find the switches. Did you put the do not disturb sign out? You should just be able to say good night. And this isn't a myth. Hotels, large hotel chains are working on this right now so that you can say, Sheraton good night, and everything just happens. Another example, the number one reason people still today call their bank is to get the balance in their account. That should happen in about 2 seconds on a mobile device. So we've spent a lot of time looking at what are the most applicable cases. We call them voice cases. And we've done a lot of research. There's strangely not a lot of academic research around this right now because it's happening so fast, trying to figure out what do people want to use voice for. And we did an analysis around how useful and efficient they are. And there's, based on that analysis, and I'm happy to share this presentation with you, we're a little limited on time, there's 3 unignorable voice cases that everyone should be thinking about. One is search, like the example of finding a part. How can I get that part? How can I buy a ticket or buy a specific ticket? How can I find out about the weather? The second is composition and logging. If you're on the road and you want to add something to a to-do list, whether it's work-related, whether it's home-related, logging and composition because it's 3 times as fast as typing. The third is coaching and instruction. This is where folks are really interested. One of the number 1 rated apps on Alexa is guided meditation. It's all about coaching and instruction because that's where voice really works effectively. Right now, we have to be really careful. When the horse and buggy transitioned to the locomotive, this is what the earliest trains looked like, right? And it's funny now, but at the time it was quite natural. Well, we got a faster, more efficient horse. Let's put it in front. Let's cruise around. We're in that world right now. The number 1 question we as a company get asked about voice is, can you build me a voice app or can you build me a chatbot? That's not the right question. Because the question isn't, can we do that? It's making our brands and products verbally proficient. Because users don't want to live in a voice-only world. That is not efficient. That's actually less efficient than what we're doing today. So the questions everyone should be asking themselves isn't how do we create an engaging voice experience? It's where does voice make it easier for people to get things done? And that's where all of us should be spending our time. We have a lot more information. If you're interested, we have an ebook on voice and kind of the best use cases at WillowTreeApps.com voice. We're outside, happy to talk to anyone. Thanks for your time, appreciate it.